So tribulation is the test of the just. It's one of the verses from this first reading of Sirach, which I think is quite timely, both in what's going on in the world and the East, as well as in preparing us for Lent. Tribulation is the test of the just. That without tribulation, without the test of the sometimes brutal harshness that is existence, we could become very complacent and despondent. We could become lazy. We can become numb, especially in regards to the faith, to the pursuit and protection of goodness, truth, and beauty, to the rooting out of vice and the sharpening of virtue. I think this is a reality most universally experienced, here in the West. And so suffering, we could say, either experienced personally or universally, as we're definitely seeing right now, like war, it wakes us up to reality, that there's more to life than our suburban routines in our little bubble. This human experience, though, this awakening to reality, is not meant to be spent alone or in darkness. Is not meant to lead us towards despair. To recall that we have Jesus, who went through what we go through. He had all the emotions, right? He was tempted, was tested. He was rejected and spurned. He was exiled. He experienced the most pain and suffering that any human has ever experienced. He even died. Yet through it all, he remained faithful, courageous, brave. He never ceased speaking with his Father. And so too, this is our call and our invitation. This is the purpose of Lent. You could say the purpose of tribulation, to test our love, to refine it, to remind us that this is not our final home, but that we are called to heaven, to that eternal kingdom. To remind ourselves that peace is not the absence of violence, but rather peace is the integrity and health of the soul. So that losing your peace then means losing your spiritual health. So I think what we see happening in the world right now is a brutal external manifestation of what the reality is in some of our own hearts, right? Here in St. Charles, not necessarily over there. That what man can become when God is absent, when he is banished, forgotten, and neglected. So absolutely decry the horrors, right? Protest the effects of sin, absolutely. But then to remember what we actually are called to do, what we can do in our own power to bring about goodness, justice, and change. To see that we are a sinner just like the rest. That as the gospel says this morning, we have a 2x4 sticking out of our own eye. Imagine walking around Home Depot or Lowe's, and you walk past a guy with a 2x4 literally sticking out of his eye socket. I mean, it's comical, the language Jesus uses to awaken us to the reality that we all experience. So will protests and sanctions really accomplish things in the long run? I don't know, right? But what I do know is this, that to strive after holiness and virtue will. To remain with Jesus, to never cease speaking with our Father in heaven, to allow ourselves to be woken up by him from the mundane so that we may run to him. I'd like to end with a little prayer. It's the collect, actually, there's a mass for in times of war and civil disturbance, which I said just recently on my day off on Friday. And it's a powerful, beautiful prayer I think we could all say together. O God, merciful and strong, who crush wars and cast down the proud, be pleased to banish violence swiftly from our midst and to wipe away all tears, so that we may all truly deserve to be called your children.